Okay, so picking up where we left off, we'll go ahead and check out Kaylee's piece here. Oh, already got it working in there. All right. Awesome. Oh, that's nice and slow. What's happening? Let's just kill Photoshop. Don't place. Cancel. There we go. That makes sense. Yeah, so I think you're getting some neat stuff here. Like I said before, I think you need to find some way of getting him a little closer, right? Like, just so you don't have to zoom up away from your character quite so much. And like, to me, I would like to see his head like about here, maybe a little bit of a profile of him, so you see his back like this and his legs down like this. And what I think that also does is it gives you this nice line of action that pulls us back into the character in case we try to get away, right? And it can keep, if you do that, then this whole thing can be nudged back down a little bit, and your top of your frame can be here. Right? But I like a lot of what you got going on with this little guy here. He's doing some dancing stuff. The beginning of it feels more polished than the end of it. I like this, but then from there it just all feels like kind of linear, like it's blending between these poses. I think you could also probably get a little bit more of a take in between this, like maybe he squashes down before he goes to that just a little bit. And I think that like the arm point feels a little linear too. So I think it's finding those breakdowns that are going to make it a little bit more appealing. I think what you got going on here is neat, like the little shimmy. It's looking cool. Got some feet sliding right there, though. And you have to kind of watch out for that. I think the camera motions are just really a little too big, right? So, delete this. I think really, like, the camera motion needs to be super small, super fast, right? So maybe like 4 frames, right? And you'll kind of get the idea here that with this, like I'm just very... What's happening? Oh. Very subtly moving my camera just like that. And that. And that. And so what we get is this... So it just kind of jiggles a little bit, right? I think that's going to read a little bit better than that really big one. So like you'll notice that's on every frame. It just needs to feel like vibration to it, right? And right now it's like the impacts are like the transitions are over like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So like I think they're just a little too big of a motion and over too long. It just needs to feel like a little vibration to it. Otherwise, I like that you're going like kind of slow here, and I like this angle better. Still though, like if you look at your silhouette here, all of it is kind of covering each other up. And I think what you need instead is this foot out here, knee going up like this, right? Like that angle, so you can kind of, and it may just be turning him a little bit more, maybe moving the foot over a little bit more. But again, you want to focus on this little guy, and I think that would help. Just needs a little bit more polish on some stuff. I think you got some cool things happening here. And like we just need a better render of this. I know rendering is not part of the process, but it's just really coming out as like unfinished, like low quality play blast. Like even if it's just like make sure you're exporting out when you play blast here, you can make sure this is not set low and that this is not set low. Because those two things will cause your play blast to be smaller. Yeah, I mean, I think you get a lot of neat stuff going on here. Watch out for the foot sliding. Play around with the breakdowns a little bit more. Play around with like this slow look up is very floaty, and it needs to be like more like eye darts. Like he like sort of shifts his. It's like he goes like from looking to here to looking to here to looking to here to looking to here, like these really quick like head twitches up. I think will make that have some more texture and feel more alive. So yeah, nice. And then Kelsey. Oh yeah. So I'm trying to decide which one to look at. I'm going to look at the rendered one. Yeah, this one's really, I like it. It's really subtle. Again, the insides of the mouths are really dark. I would play around with some different lighting too. Like it's just, I think you have this like purgatory lighting going on a lot of stuff. And there's something about it that means all we're getting is ambient occlusion. And that means the places where these shadows happen get really dark, right? And I think just having a image-based lighting back here would really bump some of that up, or even just a couple of like area lights to give them some more natural lighting. Some of that may be in whatever their material is. This may be like a Maya material. Just play around with the materials just a touch. I love the animation. I think again his shoulders just like I think I need to just feel them move a little bit, and I know that it's going to adjust where her head is, but he's like so just a really subtle motion when everything else is so still. Like it doesn't even have to go up that high. Maybe it just does just a little bit. Right, just that little bit of a subtle motion is going to be enough, right? The biggest thing right now is you're trying to keep it from looking like his head is moving in isolation, right? You don't want it to be the only thing in your scene that's moving. And I know it's not, but it's still subtle enough to where it's sort of feeling like it is. Also, I just noticed some of this stuff is a little faceted, so I don't know if there's a smoothed version of it. You'll probably get a better render that way too. Her head motion over is a little on the even side, right? So she goes like just kind of gradually to here, and then it slows down and eases into this, right? And I think what you could do is that same thing I've been saying is like a little bit of a lunge to here, so she sort of hangs around there, kind of lunges to there, and then to here. And it's just the difference of your curve being shaped like this and your curve being like that, right? Like you get like these little like subtle flatter areas in the middle of it. It's not much, just a little bit. I think that would help make that a little bit better. Everything going on in his face is looking really cool. I think you need the eye darts a little bit more, maybe a little bit more texture to the motion of his head. But you're getting really close on this, and I think it's going to turn into a great piece. So yeah, just keep hammering away on this one. So Miguel. I love the render on this one. I love everything about this like scene. This turned out way better. Right now, the biggest things that kind of stick out to me, you got some render stuff in his eye. Like his eye is just a little too reflective through there. Maybe his teeth too. You could probably even turn it down on his shirt. But other than that, the thing that I really notice is like I think you could add just a little bit more overlapping action on his arms. So when he goes up and down here, maybe just a little bit of drag on his wrist here so it can overshoot and just feel a little bit looser. The same with kind of how they come down here, like the hands still, I just kind of have them drag behind the forearm just a little bit more. And then like right here, like as they come up, see like the hand feels like it's leading. So really I think you'd have the hand dragging back a little bit more. And then this is pretty cool. I like this part like you're getting some bend in there. And I like the way the whole desk sort of shakes when you do it. Maybe just a touch much. I like all of this blend, but there, I think. I knew there was something right through here, right? And that's a great shot. There it goes through. So I think I would keep this hand up a little bit, because what you're really aiming for is this shot right here, and I think you really need to push this one, right? So we got this mass, we got his hips down here, and then I think you get his arms way out here, like stretch them out there to where he's just like, that first arm is way out there, and his head is like, I like where his head is, but you get this like line of action going all the way through here. Sorry, I bumped the microphone. And then the next one, you can kind of follow through with the other hand. Like this one will be way out here, right? And then this one's following through. So I think you really get that, like he's just trying to shove it out of his life, right? And then you can kind of follow through here and come back up. More drag on the hands as he's coming through here, because I think at this point his chest is leading that, and his head and his hands are dragging behind. So sort of all of that stuff would sort of be a little behind it. And then I would make how he gets into this just a little bit more dramatic, right? Maybe he throws his arms up a little higher, like here, right? And then he throws his face down first and his arms down in front of him or something. That way they kind of cascade when they hit, right? Chest, face, and then probably his right arm and then his left arm. And sort of having that cascade of how they hit. Maybe the face probably has to hit afterwards. So maybe it goes left arm, right arm, chest, and then face. Right now they all kind of hit close to the same point, right? It just needs to cascade a little bit more. And then I think that hair cascade will add on to that. Since you have some of the hair moving in that part, I think you need it moving like here too, right? Like when he goes to here, you know, his hair would sort of fly forward a little bit. Right? That's more of that's not necessarily something that's a really subtle secondary action thing. But I think it would really carry some extra weight to put that in. So it was a great piece. I'm really looking to seeing how this one sort of polishes up by Portfolio. So great job. And where are we at here? I get lost so easily. Rachel. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think we talked about this one. Really the biggest thing is just figuring out your ending. Like I think I'm sort of not a fan of the breaking the fourth wall either. I think the fingers are looking better. The one on this hand maybe still a little too much. Like it's a little too big. Right? If you think about that gesture, it's really more something that happens kind of in the tips of your fingers. And right now it's like he's trying to play the piano. So I would pull back with that a little bit. I think right here at the beginning, her animation's looking good, but this stop here feels like it needs a little bit, like it's everything kind of stops together. Get that leg of hers out in front of her just to slow her down into that. I think she'll be in pretty decent shape. Through here, this is a little too poppy. So sort of slow that down. Get a little bit more change in her contrapposto as she's talking. Maybe she just does a couple of shifts. Again, he's sort of what we're focusing on here. And I love all of this beginning part. So like, I think that little glance is working, but it all feels like it's together. It feels like his eyes and his head get there together and come back together. And I don't really feel any change in his line of action here. Like I need his shoulders to kind of tip up. Not that much by any means, but just very subtly as he turns his head that way, he would turn his chest just a little bit, right? I would lead with the eyes, like have the eyes get over there first, and then like a glance, and then it's right here that it sinks in what he just saw, right? And then I think again as he turns his head here, that's mainly in the head. You need a little bit more in the shoulders. This last gesture, like I think that again, like in terms of storytelling, you've established a story here. He's excited about a sushi, right? I'm excited for him, right? Like sushi is like a draw that a lot of people can understand, right? And so it feels like that's where you're building toward. And I think really where the humor comes into this is he's ready to eat his sushi and a distraction comes in, right? And now you have conflict, and conflict is what makes things interesting. When you have that conflict, like it's like suddenly the sushi isn't important anymore, and I don't know, like maybe it's a priorities thing, but like it's suddenly like that first part that we were starting with isn't playing a role in this acting anymore. And I think really the funny thing that could come in is sort of his interaction between wanting to keep looking and wanting to eat his sushi, right? And so what you could have him do is like still like, kind of twitching glances, like eye darts between his sushi and her while he's trying to pick one up and put it in his mouth, and maybe it falls or something. Like I think you could do that, and it just then it sort of humanizes him a little bit. So the big thing right now I think is with the head motions, letting that sort of trickle down to his shoulders just a little bit. Even this little thing he does here with his head, like I like that. But while he's doing that, the shoulders move very smoothly across, and I think that little head motion would trickle down to his shoulders just a little bit too. It's really subtle stuff. So I think maybe how you could do this is like he could be picking up his chopsticks right here, right? And then he could have the chopsticks sort of, in this arm up, ready to go, right? And then when he realizes what he saw, like, he looks over while he's still trying to use this hand to, pick up the chopsticks with the thing. And then, like, this, like, confused, like, trying to raise the chopsticks to his mouth, like, while, like, not for sure where he wants to look, right? Looking back and forth between the sushi and her. I think that would be kind of the gag I would go for, and that's really just the first one that strikes me, so it doesn't always mean it's the best. The other last little thing I would talk about is sort of the framing of the shot. And to me, he just feels like he's a touch too far in this direction, right? I don't know what's the best way of doing that, whether it be to scoot that chair in a little bit, scoot all of this stuff over this way, and then sort of shift your camera that way too. But right now it just feels like the framing is like not quite hitting on that, either that rule of thirds, like if this is rule of thirds, they both need to be pushed toward the middle a little bit, right? And I would kind of do that a little bit. So maybe his chest is lining up here, his head's lining up here, and her head's lining up here, and etc. So that would be my 2 cents, that I would kind of nudge that stuff around a little bit. Since his is the animation that gets the most complicated, it's easier to move all of this stuff toward him than vice versa. So maybe, I mean, it's your shot. You may think maybe his controls work easier than that. So that'd be my last note. It's looking good. I'm really looking forward to seeing how you sort of pull this one together. So no. And I think we're on to our last one, Scotty. Let's see what we got here. Okay. No camera. Yeah, so I think this is one where you still just need to finish this one up. You have I know you kind of contacted me about a couple or an excused absence, but this still just feels like early blocking. You got let's just count them. 4 key poses. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think I think you definitely need to just put in some work and get this one kind of caught up. I like your setup. I can totally see it. Again, I think students sometimes start in the wrong spot. Like, is this walk important? Because that's what you've spent most of your time on. And really what it may be is that the walk isn't important. Maybe you could have started the character here and everything would have worked fine with just a little bit of a shuffle forward, right? Like a single step forward and then a reach for the box. And then suddenly this is an easier shot, right? And so it's about prioritizing what you need to have. Like if you spent too much time modeling this when a box would have worked fine, I think that's something to consider. So, all right, cool. I think that's the end of it. Make sure I got everybody. I did. So I'll go ahead and post these videos. The grades will be not too far behind that, and so you'll have a good idea of where you're at. Hopefully by this weekend, I should have all that up for you. So talk to you soon. Bye-bye.